Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trinity College London's Acting Syllabus Under the Hood series. The one before this was done by my colleague Chanda, which was for speech and drama. So she's already started training the teachers entrusted for the professional development under the speech and drama section. I hope to do the same with acting syllabus. So let's get started. Okay, so well, in this particular webinar, we would be dealing with first, just a second, yeah. We would be dealing with what are the myths and the facts about acting. I'm very sure that all of you're here and you know already what are the myths and the facts. So I'm just going to reiterate them just so that I'm warmed up as I take you through the journey. And then we look at the construct of our TCL exams and look at the learning criteria, the learning outcomes, the assessment criteria, the attainment descriptors. I'll take you through each one of them so it's not confusing. And of course, the skills that we are imparting through the exams and the tasks that we have lined up under the syllabus. And then we would be looking at the tasks and some of the sample, monologues or mime pieces that you could take a look at and understand what does this task particularly require. So let's get started with the myths and the facts. Before we get into the myths and the facts, I want to quote James Mangold. I'm very sure that many of you or someone in your family would be very fond of Ford versus Ferrari. So the director says that the boundary between real life and acting is absolutely difficult to find. And I think we all agree with it. So, well, acting or drama is not just for children, it's for all of us, basically. And for all those who are pursuing acting, of course, this kind of training is very much needed. But we all know that everyone needs to get trained in drama or acting in order to absorb a lot of life skills and social skills so that we can impart the same in our life. And good news is that, of course, we don't need to be a drama professional to have this bug, this acting bug, because we all have it in our life. We do too much of drama in our life and we want to impart the same wherever we are, because we are teachers. We have to be good at everything. We have to be great at our communication, handling kids, doing multiple things, multitask. So yes, and of course, it's not just an extracurricular subject. It is very well integrated into the way we teach, the way we understand life, to bring it into a broader picture. And of course, it's not at all just for all those extroverts or people who are termed extroverts. It has nothing to do with you being an introvert or an extrovert. It has only to do with the kind of personality you have and what you want to communicate. So yes, those were the myths that all of us know are not true. And let's get into the facts. Drama, the skills in drama are something that you can apply with each and every subject. I'm sure many of you teach English or any other subject, and you would definitely want children to come together and kind of explain what they understood about that particular subject, which will, it's a skill that you learn in drama and you apply in any other subject. And every teacher can adopt the drama methodologies. Well, more of this was spoken in our webinars during I think it was somewhere around March and April, and my colleague Chanda has spoken about drama and education. Vaishali has spoken about online teaching. So please do refer those webinars, which is on our YouTube channel, for further information. And we've dealt with some techniques which will definitely be useful for all you teachers. And yes, taking an exam, makes us go through and understand what is it that a child would look, for while doing these exams. how can you make them understand what are the learning outcomes that they will take away home, and how are the examinations going to be? Are they stressful, or they are something that you will enjoy? Is it all about the process, or just about the marks? So when we take the exams, we go through the test first, and then when we are very sure that everything is hunky dory, then we pass it on to our students, because we have to take care of their safety, not just their physical safety, but also their mental safety. So that is very much integrated into the Trinity College London's examination, process, the health and safety, mental and physical. So be it music exams or drama exams, it's very well embedded, and we teachers have to experience the exams to know how that factor works out for our students. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the construct of the syllabus. Now, the words learning outcomes are basically what the candidate is going to learn through the process of preparing for the exam. That's as simple as it gets. So as we go forward, you will get more idea about how the learning outcomes span for the acting syllabus. Then we have the assessment criteria, the skills for which the candidate will be assessed for. All right. And then we have all the tasks which are basically constructed based on the learning outcomes that are intended for the candidates. Attainment descriptors are the final mark sheets that come, the distinction, merit, pass, or below pass, that are given to the candidate depending on the skills that were demonstrated. And then we have the final thing, which is transfer and application of everything that comes under the syllabus. All right, now this is an acting and drama based webinar, so it doesn't, well, I have to tell you a story. So once upon a time, there was a little boy in a town called Para in Goa. So there is this beautiful tradition in Para that after every harvest of watermelons, towards the end of May, they have this beautiful watermelon eating contest for all the little kids. The rule was to give the kids the biggest and the best watermelons, and that they have to collect all the seeds while they're eating in a bowl. So this little boy was always enthusiastic about the contest, and appeared for the contest very many times. Eventually, he grew up. He went out to study, and he was away from the village for 7 long years. When he comes back, he sees that, of course, the tradition is still on, but the watermelons have become really small. And he's disappointed at the quality of the watermelon, and he just gets into knowing more about what happened in these 7 years. So he gets to know that the farmers got a little greedy and sold all the lovely ones, and for the tradition they kept the smaller ones and the ones which were not, which wouldn't fetch a lot of money. So he realized that the farmers eventually degraded their own quality of seeds, because when the children used to collect the seeds in a bowl, the same were sown, and therefore the watermelons that were produced later on were of the same quality or maybe better. But when they started selling off the good ones, all the good seeds went out, and only the ones which were not very good stayed back. And so the quality decreased. So, what do we understand? We understand that it is not just enough to know a subject, it's also important to apply it to life. Now, this goes two ways. The teacher has to always ensure that a subject is taught in a very experiential manner, but the child also inherently needs to understand, the child or the learner needs to inherently understand that there is a connection between what you are learning and where do you have to apply it. And this is so true for drama or any whether you call it performing text or speech and drama or acting, performance, musical theater, whatever be the case. This is true that drama is a subject for life. And therefore, the way you learn it is experiential, and it's impossible that you do not take away life skills from it, because that is how it is. You have to observe the environment around you. You have to understand how you can pick up resources from your surrounding. You don't have a text to tell you, okay, this is how you need to walk. You have to observe others, that this is how an old man walks. You have to observe an old man, and that's when you will know how the old man walks. So yeah, so the construct of Trinity syllabus, it's etched all over it that it is for and meant for all the 21st century skills that we all need in order to proceed and progress in life. Let me take you through the objectives that comes under the acting syllabus. And I'm very sure that by this time you would inherently translate all these jargons that I'm going to say into how it can be, transferred into life and in all the other subjects that a candidate would be teaching. So we have vocal, physical, and characterizational skills, which are focused in acting syllabus. So, taking it a step further from speech and drama, characterization comes into place and physicality comes into place. You'll know more about it when we go through the tasks and the sample material that I have in front of you. So, taking it further, you get to perform a range of materials which are from different periods. So, you have a Shakespearean piece, you have something from very indigenous, like I am in the southern part of India, so I probably would want to perform and adapt a piece of what Tirukutu is about, or any folk story, and then translate it into an English version of it. So it totally depends on what Trinity suggests is show a variety of range and styles, but they never tell you that you have to do Greek theater or you have to do Indian dramaturgy. No, there is no specification to the content. It's only the skill that is specified in the syllabus. Therefore, we learn a range of play extracts from a range of periods and styles, and of course, devised forms of theater. Well, improvisation, modifications, rework. These are a few of the terms that you will learn under devised forms. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, being creative with the tasks and applying it to daily life and how it can be transferred and applied everywhere else in your other subjects and in general life. Learning outcomes, assessment criteria, and the attainment descriptors. All of it is mapped grade wise, and you will see how they are mapped, like how the progression is very incremental. It doesn't jump suddenly. It's a very slow process, and it's studied in such a detailed by the panel who've made the syllabus that it doesn't seem to be a starkly different jump. It's a very progressive jump and a map which is very smooth. So let's get into the learning outcomes roadmap. For an initial or grade 1 candidate, it would be about voice clarity. How are you using your body to suggest a character and the story? Also, when the examiner is conversing with you, it would be about what is the meaning of this material? Oh, you did Alice in Wonderland. So where is she? What is this Wonderland? What does it mean? It would be as basic as that. When you come to grade 2 and grade 3, you are expected to interact with the space that you are provided with and the material. Do you have another character? What is your connection with the character? What has the other character said? How do you react to it? Is the material quite obvious, or does it have more meaning and layers to it? When it comes to grade 3, you are given an improvisation where your abilities to adapt to a stimulus which is given on the spot is tested. For an improvisation, it is always about how much have you understood the material. Can you take the material out of the published context and place it somewhere else and still do justice to it? That is what an improvisation is about. And of course, when it comes to creativity, we'll talk more about creativity when we reach the 21st century skills slide. So let's see what we have for assessment criteria. Now, when it comes to the technical aspects of all the grades from initial to grade 3, we are looking at vocal skills, which is the pace, the pitch, and the tonality, the physical use of the use of body. How do you move? Do you choose not to move? Why have you chosen not to move, or why have you chosen to move? And how do you use the space? What is your intention while communicating the material that you have in hand? Next comes with the engagement with the material, which is basically the interpretation that you give to the material in hand. Do you choose to have the character have a slight slur or a stammer, or is that a character who's very confident? Because these are the things you read into the material. Sometimes it's not very obvious. So what is your interpretation, your choice of interpretation for the material? Because Trinity does not look at what you don't do or what you can't do. It only looks at what you can do and what you are doing. Are you able to justify your interpretation? That's what we are looking at. So the third one is communication with the audience. At this level, from grade initial to grade 3, it is basically, are you aware of the audience? Where are they sitting? At what level are they? Well, do you have some interactive parts in the audience? Can you assume that there are people sitting in front of you? I mean, how is your body language? Are you aware that they are watching you and they're getting your message? These are the kind of things that come under communication with the audience. And finally, coming to the performance, which is all about your confidence level, and to what level and to what extent can you communicate through your voice, body, mind, and soul, the complete performance. So here is an incremental, development roadmap of the assessment criteria. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll just take you through a few. Well, the highlighted sections will tell you what is the difference when it comes to each, stepped up level. So an initial grade performer would require to be audible and clear, and also use body and the space given in order to communicate the story and the narrative. When it comes to grade 1, you are supposed to interact. Do you have an absent or a pair or a group performer with you? What is your connection with the character? Why have you moved in a certain direction? Does it give meaning to the narrative? And when it comes to grade 2 level, if you are put in an improvised situation, will you be able to communicate the material in hand? Does it make you realize the importance of material in a furthermore, what do you say, introspective manner? And when it comes to grade 3 level, the stimulus that is given, do you stick to just the stimulus that is given, or you take it a step further and use your creativity to modify it or to present it in a manner which is comfortable for you, or which is understood by you because of your experiences? Even if you are a small child, you have a bank of things in your head, right? You have your animation stories, you have your favorite movie star. So there are a number of things that influence us when it comes to interpretation and perspective. So at every age and every level, This creativity is observed and marked for. A few more, as I was talking, is about the audience awareness and the level of confidence. So, an initial grader is to have basic confidence, a competence to just deliver their speech and not be very worried about the examiner sitting in the front, or the setting of the exam and things like that. And grade one level, you need to be a little more confident, some amount of confidence. And when it comes to grade two, you have to be confident. And same goes with grade three. So let's move on to the attainment descriptors. Yes. Yes, we do have attainment descriptors. It might sound very scary, but it is not, because we are marked for the skills that we demonstrate, and we've worked on it through a period of time. So it just is fair enough to get a report on the same. So anything below 65 is termed as below pass. Between 65 and 74 is pass. 75 and 84 is merit, and 85 plus is distinction. Now we come to the skills part of it. I don't think I need to harp on each and every one of it, but I would definitely want to talk about creativity. Now, creativity is always confused. I mean, it's very difficult to define creativity when when you're talking about it. Sometimes it is confused with being imaginative. Well, I would say that being creative is a step before being imaginative. When you're being creative, you are asked to assimilate every experience and observation that you have till the point that you are supposed to apply the creativity into what you need to do. Okay, you've seen this somewhere, and you've experienced that somewhere. You've heard someone talking, you've seen something, you've smelled something, you've felt something. All these things have to be brought in together. If you speak subject wise, then okay, this is what I learned in maths, and this is what I learned in music. Can I put it together? Is it possible? So this amalgamation is creativity. And the way the tasks are designed, you will know that it's impossible to escape this amalgamation. The tasks require you to think, what have you learned from other fields of life, and apply it into the tasks. So this is my favorite topic. And when you have assimilated everything, that is where you imagine what can be made from the amalgamation of things, and what can be something new, something imaginative comes out. And that's where your imaginations and your gray cells are activated. So apart from that, while we are all, taken through the whole process of learning drama, we learn how to communicate, communicate with yourself. What are the things that stop you from doing some things? Why are they stopping you? And then how can you communicate? How can you communicate the message to the others in order to have a better channel of communication? And working under pressure, there will be a deadline, because you are supposed to produce an improvisation in, say, 3 minutes time, and you have to do it in a group. So you will definitely have someone who is not at all ready to do anything. So how do you work around it? You develop your leadership qualities, your critical thinking. You don't have enough materials. How are you going to make use of what you have? And then organization. Now, you just have 3 minutes, and you have to not just finish discussing your story, but you also have to plan it and perform it without rehearsal. So how do you do it? When you have done all the above, it is much obvious that you will be confident enough to present it, because this is your baby. So you all have done it yourself, and you will feel very, very confident about presenting it to others. So the other skills that all of us have heard under the 21st century skills are, motivation, feeling motivated to do something and being committed. Healthy self-image. Well, it's a process of discovering yourself. It's impossible to engage with drama without a personal growth. You will not know how to respond to a material unless you know what the material means. And for that, you have to look into yourself and understand, what are you? Why do I think in a certain way? And can I be empathetic to the character which is being presented in front of me? And then you have to decide, how do you portray a certain character? It's not necessary that Hamlet holds a skull, but does it communicate to the audience the worthlessness that Hamlet feels in life, the confusion that he feels in life? It's symbolic enough to the audience that he has so much of confusion that it probably appears better to go towards death than dealing with the situations. So decision making, and then we have to work in a group, we have to work independently, we have to work in pair. So all kinds of scenarios of work come before us. Basically, it's a rehearsal for life. So cooperation, teamwork, respect for the people. You need to respect everyone's perspective and interpretation, and then find a middle ground to present it. Otherwise, your team is not going to perform or get to stage or do an examination. So, well, while you're doing all of it, you pick up presentation skills. You know that the audience would appreciate only if they are able to hear you, only if they are able to see your body language, the way you move, the way, are you fast, are you slow, is it communicated? So presentation skills. So everything wrapped up together is your drama syllabus. And of course, acting comes right under it. Now, RQF, the regulatory framework to which of UK, to which each level is mapped to. If you have questions about this, you can write to us so that we can explain to you in detail, because it would be a little time consuming to explain it right now. So grade 1 to 3 come under level 1, and 4 and 5 are level 2. Grade 6, 7, and 8 are level 3, and diplomas come under level 4 and 6. So you have the UCAS points going with all the grades above 6, which you can apply for, when you're which you can apply in your admission process if you are going abroad and things like that. So do write to us if you have more questions regarding those things. Let's get into the actual exams. Right. So most part of the exam is your performance, which you have prepared for. Then you have to show a key skill, which is given as a stimulus on the spot. And then you have a discussion, a reflection task, which is a conversation with the examiner. All of it has been described very clearly in the syllabus under the assessment criteria and the learning outcomes. What is expected from the candidate, what kinds of questions would be, definitely it is not listed at these are the questions that would be asked, but it is definitely said that the questions would revolve around the meaning of the play extracts, your performance, or the mood or the characterization. So it's very clear what would be the periphery of the questions being asked. Let's look at how does a grade initial look at. Please observe the columns. So the task type is performance. You have 2 pieces to perform, and you have the conversation, the reflection. The timing allotted is 8 minutes, and you have a monologue, which is of 2 minutes or under 2 minutes, the mime, which is 2 or under 2 minutes, and then the conversation is for 4 minutes. Let's look at the skills that each task would go at. When we are asked to perform a monologue, what the life skill that we get is confidence, communication, and public speaking. You be bold enough when you know when to pause, when to not speak, or when to speak. You are learning how to impress the audience and how to communicate your ideas in the best possible manner. So with mime, you are overcoming stage fear. You're learning about your own body and the imagined space that you have. So your observation power is pruned and taken to a certain level where it's impossible for you to miss anything when it comes to things in life. And then the reflection part of it is about analyzing, making you understand why are you doing what you're doing. It is only about how much thought have you put in to understand a material. Are you just performing and you do not understand what you're doing? It wouldn't it wouldn't do you any good. It'll be like that story. You should know why you're doing what you're doing. So the reflection is to bring your attention to that fact that either you have done very well in understanding the material at hand, or you need to work better. So let's see a few samples. Here we have. Please don't ask me what is a minotaur. Please ask anyone who is a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old around you. They will tell you that it's a creature who is half man and half bull, and runs around in the maze and comes in a game and things like that. So here we have a monologue where the minotaur is complaining. He is not at all happy that he gets to eat only every 10 years and that he's stuck in the labyrinth. He's absolutely not happy about it. Okay, so here the child would be expected to show the body language of the minotaur, the discomfort that the minotaur has, being half bull and half man, and how difficult would it be to move around a very small space in a maze. And the frustration, of course, of not being able to eat every day and being fed only every 10 years. So the child has to be audible while performing this monologue, make the right pauses, take the right pauses, and emphasize on those points, those phrases and words which will communicate the character of the minotaur, who is a frustrated creature stuck in a very imaginative world. So that's what is expected from the monologue at an initial grade level. Let's come to the mime part of it. Yes, so this is scary. This is where all the teachers think that, oh God, I have to be a drama professional in order to train my candidate for the acting because it has mime in it. Please don't worry. It is not rocket science. It is something that you do. The only thing is you're drinking water from a bottle. The bottle doesn't exist. So you just have to observe how much is the diameter of the bottle, be observant and apply the same with a little feel of its weight and things like that. So yes, it is a little effort, but it is not impossible. And you have mime guidance on Trinity website. Dale, if you could just put that link in the chat box. Thank you very much. You can go through it. It's explained very well. So at initial level, the candidate is supposed to establish the object at hand, the space that is used, and the character that is being portrayed. So here is an example of a initial grade mime. The candidate is playing her favorite game on the mobile phone. Initially, she's willing, yes. And then she starts losing it. Frustration comes in, anger, and finally the whole thing is cut short because mom is home. So that is all. The child can relate to this kind of a scenario thanks to the world situation that we have. All children are getting a lot of gadget time. So the child will relate to this situation. And the fact here is how he or she holds the phone, how in depth can the portrayal be, and the reaction to mom coming and stopping the whole game scenario. So that reaction to another person's appearance in the mime. So that's what is expected at grade initial level. Let's go to grade 2. Here, again, the timing increases by a minute for the monologue and the mime. It's 3 minutes now. And the conversation remains for 4 minutes. So let's see what kind of monologue is expected at grade 1 level. Here is a piece which is called My Pet Dragon. Now, the child here has a pet dragon, and initially one gets a feeling that the child is not very happy with the dragon. But towards the end, we understand that the child actually loves the dragon very much, but is not at all interested for others to be acquainted with the dragon because he is quite possessive about it and he's quite proud of having a dragon. So this is the complexity that we expect the grade 1 child to understand through the pauses, to the tonality, through the emphasis that he or she takes during the monologue. Does the child understand that the first part of it is a pretension that the child is putting up? And the second part is when the guard falls off and the love for the dragon comes out. So this complexity of understanding the material is what the candidate has to portray at grade 1 level. Let's look at the mime, which is for grade 1 level. The candidate is finishing homework and is getting restless to get to play. But who would care for homework when your bestie is already calling out for you? Now, how is this different from the mobile scenario? In the mobile scenario, the candidate is given an object and has to deal with one interference. Now, at this particular mime, we are asking the candidate to not just deal with the objects at hand, but also deal with someone who would probably be watching the child finishing the homework, and the third party who's coming to disturb this whole process. So the whole reaction to that sudden surprise element of the bestie coming and calling out to play. How is this established by a grade 1 student is what observed under grade 1 level of mime acting. Let's go to grade 2 level. At this level, along with the monologue and the mime, we have an improvisation coming. Now, the improvisation is given to the candidate by the examiner, but the improvisation is about any of the tasks already performed. For example, the improvisation can be about the monologue that is being performed or the mime. Let's look at a grade 2 level of monologue. Here, the girl who is presenting the feelings of a dog through the monologue is nervous. So she has to act as a dog and also appear worried because she's on stage performing as a dog. So the level of intensity in her body when she is communicating her nervousness to the audience is what is the engagement with the material that a grade 2 level candidate has to show. Now, to look at the mime. The candidate is eager to savor the taste of a yummy burger at home. Little does he know that a mosquito would spoil the fantastic meal in front of him. Let's see how is the mosquito dealt with. So you get all kinds of, when I presented it to my class, they had all kinds of solution for it. One went and showed like he took a bed sheet and covered and ate the burger under it, and the other one was desperately trying to hit the fly and dropped the burger in the process. So there are so many perspectives that kids will come up with, kids or candidates would come up with. Here, the question is, how are you going to make your candidate use the space around the activity at hand? Do they choose to move? Do they choose not to move? Why and for what reasons? So these are the things that one is looking at a grade 2 level mime. Now coming to improvisation. Okay. So here, the improvisation is given on the mime, and the candidate is taken, the context of the mime is taken from a house to a eat out place. So the stimulus given by the examiner is he or she will have to now place the situation in an eat out place, and accidentally others in the place get involved. The candidate might choose to use dialogues if they want. And yeah, so let's see the mosquito, how is the mosquito dealt with? So now when the candidate is in an eat out place, he or she has to be very conscious about the people who are around. He can either scream and call the manager and say, "Oh my God, what is this? Why is there a fly in the eat out place?" Or else choose to quietly handle with the situation. Or maybe while handling the situation, a piece of burger jumps onto the other table. That's going to be really terrible, isn't it? Yes. So that is the kind of creativity that the examiner, the task is looking at. Are you able to adapt the activity of eating a burger while being pestered by a fly? Can you adapt it from a home atmosphere to an eat out? And how does your imagination and creativity work? So you need to assimilate, okay, how an eat out place would have a very, very small space. There wouldn't be much space to move around. There'll be too many people around you. So what can you do? So this is why an improvisation has been placed for a grade 2 level. Now let's go to grade 3. Right, and it is 14 minutes. Here, along with the mime, you are given a choice of devising a scene or giving a speech. Now, there are 5 scenarios which are given for this particular section. You can either choose to say the best, talk about the best day of my life, the disappointment, the terror, the surprise party, the hero or heroine who saves the day. You can either choose to devise a scene around these 5 scenarios, or around one of the 5 scenarios, or talk about it. All right, so let's see examples, and then you'll be able to get a better picture of how can you use the scenarios. So the monologue at grade 3 level here is a girl who's a middle child and absolutely frustrated how she's been treated by her parents, because of course she's not the favorite because she's not the youngest, and she's not the responsible one because she's not the oldest. So beautiful, extremely wonderfully put monologue. Here the candidate would be required to say dialogues which communicate the feeling of the character, which will definitely build up the complete narrative of her experiences till now, and what does she feel about being a middle child. Now let's get into the mime part of it. The mime part of it. The candidate is carrying a very heavy box. The box has to be placed on top of a table. Once the box is placed, the exhaustion hits and the candidate is thirsty, looking for juice in the refrigerator. Fortunately, there is a can full of juice and it's his or her favorite flavor. Thank God for it. Now, what is the candidate supposed to show at a grade 3 level? Progression of thought. Progression of thought is what is noticed at grade 3 level. Is the character sustained, and is the progression of thought made possible through the act, making it a full and a complete performance. Let's get into the part where the candidate can either choose to speak or devise a scene. So, for example, the disappointment can very well be being very hungry and trying to cook up something, but everything turns into a disaster. So it can be that, or it can be a speech about how last evening I tried to cook something, though I had never tried it before. I tried to cook because there was no one at home, and it turned into a disaster. So you see, it can be a scene or a speech devised or originally written by the candidate. This is where originality comes in. So now comes the improvisation task, and this time it's for the monologue. So the child who is complaining about being the middle child is now telling the whole scenario of being grounded for a week to her best friend. So she would not just have to take the dialogues, which are originally part of the monologue, but also imagine talking over the phone. This is the kind of adaptation that is expected from a grade 3 level improvisation. So I hope that I've been able to take you through the nuances of the acting syllabus, and how each level differs and how beautifully the tasks are lined up in an incremental order to not overwhelm the candidate, but to take them in a very progressive manner from learning all the skills and techniques under the subject, which is vocal, physical, and also related to space, material, understanding, and also to apply the same in real life scenarios.